Hi, I'm Steve Ritter. I'm the author of Team Clock, A Guide to Breakthrough Teams, and the founder and CEO of the Team Clock Institute. So imagine, if you will, that every relationship and every team and every organization that you belong to was invested in the same goal and vision moving forward, was respectful and professional in their interaction, held each other accountable, had the courage to innovate, and then when change happened, were able to move through that change effectively. Well, some teams are able to do that. Healthy teams are able to do that. Healthy teams can move from good to great, or from great to greater, and take excellence to the next level. Healthy teams know when they're not performing, can diagnose why that is, and find a solution for that. Healthy teams embrace change and find a way to take stewardship for healthy transitions. And healthy teams understand that things get broken sometimes, and that sometimes you have to fix what's broken. So think about the teams in your lives. Think about the teams that have been successful, and think about the teams that haven't been so successful. That healthy teams set clear norms and goals, while weaker teams tend to lack direction. Healthy, strong teams invite conflict, even though it's uncomfortable, and they address that conflict. Unhealthy or weaker teams avoid it because of its discomfort. Healthy teams build a mutual trust amongst their membership. Weaker teams sometimes feel like there are members that are excluded or aren't a part of the club. Healthy teams are willing to take risks and challenge the status quo, while unhealthy teams adhere to the way it used to be. Healthy teams stay resilient during adversity, while weaker teams tend to resist change. So here is the team clock model. This is the face of a clock where you move from 1 o'clock around to 12 o'clock, with each stage representing a phase of the team's development. Let's move through these stages one by one. At 6 o'clock, we have attachment. Attachment is where relationships or teams or organizations feel close, feel connected. And you'll notice that as the dots move south on the model, they get larger. That's a way of showing that every attachment is not the same. The larger the dot, the larger the attachment. And so you might feel closer to a parent or a sibling or a lifelong friend than you do to a classmate that you met yesterday. So you can pause and ponder for just a moment. What kinds of investments lead to stronger connections? At the 12 o'clock position, we have what we call loss. Loss could be everything from your favorite sports team lost a game to I had a business deal that I came this close to clinching and a competitor got it at the last moment, to my best friend on my team has just left for another organization, or our leadership is changing, or organization has been acquired and something significant is going to change, or I've tragically lost a friend or a family member in my life. So all losses are not the same, and as you can see, as the dots get bigger, losses get bigger as well. So pause and ponder for a second. How might losing a game, or losing a deal, or losing a teammate be different? So there's a connection between attachment and loss. The greater the attachment, the greater investment you have in a relationship, the greater the loss you're going to feel if something doesn't go well in that relationship. And we make choices every day on all of our teams about the degree to which we're going to attach and how much loss we're willing to tolerate on that team. At 3 o'clock, we have dependence. Dependence is the structure of the team. That's where we determine the team's rules, the team's roles, the boundaries between members, the mission, the values, the vision of the team moving forward. And as you move out, the larger the dot, the greater the amount of dependence, of structure that we buy into on that team. So think for a moment, how might clear rules, roles, and boundaries support team interaction? At 9 o'clock, we have independence. Independence is where teammates feel free to explore and experiment and be curious and try new things and take smart risks and be innovative. And the larger the dot on the model, the more difference we're allowing to occur on the team. So think for a moment, what might the risks and benefits be of being independent in a group setting? What, for instance, might happen if your ideas were much different than everyone else's on your team? What would happen if they weren't different enough? So there's a relationship between dependence and independence. The greater the foundation of norms and values and vision and accountability that we have, the better able we are to support a team's decision to be innovative and to explore new possibilities and to embrace change. So let's take a quick walk around the team clock. So we begin here at 1 o'clock, where teammates have to decide to what degree they wish to invest in this team, in this organization, with this leadership, with these norms, with these rules and boundaries. And before we decide to buy in at 3 o'clock, we might test that a little bit and see whether conflict is productive and professional and respectful, or whether this is something that is going to be a problem in the future. And if that goes well, then we buy into the structure of the team at 3 o'clock, and then we start to build trust through accountability, and we become more cohesive as a team, and that makes us attached. We use that foundation to support our efforts to explore and experiment and innovate, take smart risks, and create change in the independent stage, which means we have to distance from the way it used to be, which means we have to separate from things that we were used to and experience a loss, and then we come around again and reinvest in the new structure of the team with the new goals or the new membership or the new leadership, whatever it happens to be, and around we go. A simplified way of looking at this is by quadrant. So in the investment quadrant, we are working on norms, we are working on alignment with the mission, we are working on managing conflict in a professional and respectful way, in a constructive way. Oftentimes for most teams that means it's going to be a little frustrating, as it is when any organization is working on their infrastructure. When we move to the trust stage, the face gets a little happier because people feel connected and people are sharing respect and collaboration and people are holding themselves and each other accountable. That creates a platform for people to be able to innovate, where you can take smart risks and you can leverage some of the differences that you decided were healthy and okay when you were determining your norms in the investment stage. And then that allows for the team to grow and change. And when that happens, you have to let go and mourn the way it used to be and get refocused on new opportunities with the team, which leads us back to the investment phase. So one of the principles of the team clock model is that it's a cyclical pattern and that it's ongoing and natural in all relationships. And so all relationships begin by investing, they build trust, they grow, and then they change, and then they reinvest in whatever their new circumstances are. So stop for a moment and think about whether it's normal to have struggle on a team. You've noticed that 3 of the 4 faces on the model are not looking very happy. Is it possible then that a strong, healthy, functional team, 3/4 of the time, may be in some kind of struggle? Absolutely. It's purposeful and functional for teams to experience frustration, anxiety, depletion of their energy, and every once in a while in the yellow face, be able to celebrate a team win. So think for a moment, is it normal to have struggle? And what might be the benefit of that struggle? The second team clock principle is that every stage is related to the stage that it's opposite it on the clock. So as we talked about, We know how attachment and loss are related, and we certainly can see how dependence and independence are related. But who's going to innovate if they haven't experienced investment from their teammate? And who's going to manage change and loss effectively if they haven't already enjoyed closeness and cohesiveness and accountability over here? So think for a moment, how might investment and testing influence your team's willingness to innovate and take risks? So where is your team on the team clock? Are you a new team who's learning how to invest in norms and learning how to manage conflict? Are you testing that out? Have you bought into this organization? Have you bought into this relationship and you're building trust through accountability? Have you moved more cohesively into a more attached and connected place? Has that allowed you to innovate and take risks? And has that created change for you? And are you now figuring out how you're going to distance from that change and then reinvest again? So 3 questions. 1, where are you currently on the model? Why are you where you are? Why are you at that stage of the team clock? And then 3rd, what actions would you need to take to move your team forward? So this leads to action planning. And if you're in the investment stage, if that's where your team's at, then the things you should be working on are building an infrastructure, anchoring healthy norms, getting aligned with goals and vision, embracing differences, learning how to sponsor conflict that's constructive. If you're in the trust phase, then you're endorsing day-to-day interpersonal exchanges and dynamics that build trust. You model professionalism, you model respect, you hold yourself and others accountable for norms and vision that you agreed to, and then you invite collaboration and teamwork. If you're in the innovation stage, then it's all about taking smart risks, discovering best practices, daring new ways of thinking about things, and leveraging the value of the differences that you agreed upon were okay and good and healthy to have when you built the team. And if you're in the distancing phase, it's all about a nimble adaptation to the change that you've created. You acknowledge the value of the change, you stay as poised as possible during the adversity of the change, and then you appropriately let go and mourn and then refocus on the next opportunity that the change has brought for you. One of the tools we have is an online assessment that allows us to be very targeted in the way that we intervene with a team. So it might be a team that's struggling with investment or norms or goals, or as you can see in the example here, there might be teams where there's an undercurrent of disrespect between a couple of the members, or the leader isn't confronting inappropriate behavior from other team members, or people don't feel comfortable asking each other for help. The idea is that through the metrics of the assessment, we can know exactly where to put our efforts in helping the team. Another resource we have at our disposal is the book Team Clock, A Guide to Breakthrough Teams. This is a more robust description of the model that we've just covered, in addition to some example stories of teams who have found this model helpful. In addition to the book, the website, teamclock.com, has plenty of resources, including a tab for the team manual, which is a collection of best practices from the 200 plus teams that have embraced the Team Clock model over the last 5 years. Thank you.